This episode of The Modern Rogue brought to you by Squarespace. As the great sage and eminent time traveler Huey Lewis once said, it's hip to be square. So head on over to squarespace.com/rogue. Use promo code ROGUE at checkout. Save 10%. And save the time continuum. Jason Murphy, one thing I love about Joe Diamond is that he is a paranormalist, a mentalist who is in no way intimidated or afraid to call BS on his own BS. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
BS!
Yeah.
He's not afraid or intimidated.
No, do it again.
Also, hi, Chris Dickson. How are you?
Hi, Brian Brushwood. I'm great.
We are here with known charlatan Joe Diamond. You showed us the spirit bottle and palm reading. What sort of heresy are you going to teach us to unleash upon the world now?
Because if it's not going to send us to hell, I don't know why we're doing it.
Exactly. Why? And what better way to go to hell than with the devil's playthings?
Idle hands?
Well, or that too. No, cartomancy, the art of telling fortunes with playing cards.
So if I understand this right, from what little I know, it's basically, so you want to do tarot, but you don't have a Spencer's Gifts nearby.
Hot topic.
Okay,
Brian.
sorry. Okay,
Hot topic,
all right,
first of all. Honestly, tarot, cartomancy, all sorts of oracle decks have kind of become, really popular in recent years. There's been a lot of things on, everything from TikTok to Instagram, and kind of sort of like secular occultism has kind of had a resurgence where people use divination tools, but they use it for fun and use it just kind of as a creative exercise.
One of the things that occurs to me is that nowadays, like all my kids, they don't play with playing cards, but there was a time where nothing but gambling, devil worship. Do you think that the standard playing card deck has lost its mystique or no?
I don't know. There used to be a time, like you said, where it had a stigma. Everything you did with a deck of cards was bad. You're gambling, you're fortune telling, you're reading. But nowadays, everybody got one in their cabinet or in that junk drawer. So it seems like it's become more commonplace for us.
And I think a similar thing again is happening with metaphysical objects. Things like tarot and cartomancy have kind of had a resurgence and don't have the same level of like, oh, well, if you have a tarot deck, you must be, talking to the devil. It's like, no, I happen to have a tarot deck and I use it sometimes.
Most people that I've seen that read tarot just use it to help them or someone else reflect inward on what they're going
Exactly.
As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, both of you guys, whether they're runes, whether it's a tarot, whether it's cartomancy, the rude way to put it would be they're random noise generators, but ultimately they are reasons and structure for a moment of self-reflection, to ask, what does this mean to me?
I mean, I use it for Satan, but...
Okay, so talk us through how to pull off cartomancy.
Well, here's the other great thing about cartomancy rather than a traditional tarot deck is a tarot deck has 78 cards, deck of cards has 52, so less to remember. That said, for a full deck of 52, you only need to remember 17 pieces of information.
And on a practical level, this is the kind of thing to, start up a conversation. You might do a reading for somebody at a party, that kind of thing. But you do have to know the structure of everything.
Yes. And those of you who are watching, you'll have the perfect in to do this. You'll just be able to say, hey, I saw a video that taught me how to do this. Is it okay if I try this with you to see how accurate it is? And you're in.
And because we're using regular playing cards, it is impromptu.
Yeah.
You can just do it anywhere. If somebody else has a deck, you could use theirs, I imagine.
Once you learn this, you could have someone just tell you a card. You don't even need the deck of cards with you.
Okay, so what's the structure?
First things first is the 4 suits. I've just taken out the 4 aces here to make things easy. And these are going to be very simple mnemonics to remember. First of all, diamonds represents money and the material. In ancient cultures, the ace of spades was considered the death card. It really mostly means power. I think of it as like the shield. It's strong, it's powerful, it can take a beating. Hearts, romance, feelings, emotions, all that stuff. And then clubs means different things in a lot of different systems. That's the other thing too, is like, I see it as growth because it's literally a clover growing.
It looks like a tree.
But if you have something that means something to you, this is about self-reflection, so change the meaning. You can absolutely do that. If you look at a club and you think of luck, like a lucky clover, then it can mean luck to you.
So we're talking money, sex, power, and growth.
All the main things that people are gonna talk about. It is the scam, travel, health, education, sex, career, ambition, money, but applied to symbols in the deck.
Okay, got it.
And remember, we're just using this as a story generator to tell good stories. For example, a great story about a deck of cards is how there's 52 cards in the deck and 52 weeks in the year. There's 4 suits, 4 seasons, 12 picture cards, 12 months, 13 values, 13 different phases of the moon. If you add the cards value for value, ace plus 2 plus 3, you get 364. When you add the joker, you get 365, and the second joker makes up for a leap year.
What's funny is I'm like, what does the advertisement card mean?
Was that intentional when designing a deck of cards, or was that post hoc?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was
It's too
made up
clean.
after the fact.
There's a lot of theories. The common consensus is it was a form of chess, it was a form of game that was passed down through the ages, and it eventually came into this.
That they based the Roman calendar after the cards.
I've seen people say the cards came about in the 13th century, the 17th century, but I think we can get enough context clues from the past that, yeah, that's probably not an accident. One other thing that I don't even think you know. We won't do the whole thing. We won't do the whole thing. But if you have a 52 card deck with no jokers and you put them on top and you spell ACE, TWO, THRE, you just spell all 13 values, it takes exactly 52 cards. You will end with KING.
You know what's wild is I didn't know that specific fact, but we've taught enough tricks that use stacked decks of cards on Scam Nation that it makes sense because that's the only way those tricks would work.
Exactly, exactly. So it is kind of like a little pocket universe that you can carry in your pocket to use to tell stories.
Okay, so we got money, sex, power, and growth. What are the other elements?
Now we've got just the 13 values. So the 13 values plus the 4 suits give you all 52 cards. So here are what the 13 values mean. Ace, I think of ambition. It's an A, I'm number one, ambition.
It's also both the beginning, the lowest value card, and the end, the highest value card.
Absolutely. Just like the Fool and the Major Arcana, but we'll save that for another time.
That sounds like voodoo stuff.
2 represents tact and diplomacy.
You could think of maybe the two faces of Janus,
Yes.
duplicity.
Yep. 3, I think of creativity. Usually
Again, growth.
growth, yeah, back to
3,
growth.
like a tree, like the tree of knowledge.
Yes, yep, absolutely. 4, I think of the 4 corners of a house. This is a foundation, about being practical.
So if we were watching The Last Airbender, this would be air, fire, water.
Sure.
And this would be earth,
Yes.
right? Very grounded.
And then the clubs attacked.
Right, exactly. 5, I see as freedom and variety. 4 was about, systems and order. 5 is the opposite of that. It's freedom, it's variety. 6 represents family to me. 6 is the number which in mnemonics is sticks, and I think of picking up sticks with my family members, so that's 6. 7 is a spiritual number.
Seventh
507
heaven,
days in a
of
week,
course.
7th heaven. 8 is usually money in my system. Also, 8 on its side is an infinity symbol, kind of a continuous loop. So I often will say, this can represent feeling caught in a loop. The wheel is spinning, but the hamster's dead. That's kind of how I put it for that one.
Wow, that took a turn.
Yes.
But what I'm picking up on is that it almost doesn't matter what your map is so long as you have a map to rely upon.
Yes, and just for sake of completion, again, my last few meanings are 9 is generosity, giving people things. 10 is the last number, so it's completion. For the 3 suits, Jack represents being adventurous. I think of Jack Sparrow. And then these are pretty cliche mnemonics, but they're archetypes for a reason.
Yep.
Queen, I think of as a motherly figure or mother type figure. And king, I think of a fatherly figure. And I will often say now, now this doesn't have to be your mother. It doesn't even have to be someone who identifies as female. This is just a motherly figure who can help guide
A
you.
nurturing force.
A nurturing figure, yes. And with that, you just combine the value with the suit to generate what the card means. So let's do this with a simple, just 1 card reading. Chris, slide out a card, turn it over. That will tell us what the next week has in store for you. Let's see.
Ooh, that's just it. Okay, you defined the parameters. You said we are going to be thinking about the future over a defined time
Yes.
period, 1 week. Got
Yes.
it.
And that's super important in not just magic, but with cons and telling a story.
Yes.
Is setting the stage for your mark, for your friend,
Audience,
for
your
Chris,
cult member, whatever.
cult
so
member?
Yes.
So this is 5, this was freedom, right?
Yep.
Or
Variety.
variety.
Yep.
Relationships maybe, or
Yeah,
heart.
hearts.
You're
yeah.
going poly,
Now,
dude.
do you allow, you give the...
So hang on, let me say something right now. Jason, you just gave your first cartomancy reading.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
That was a reading.
and I kind of like it.
He said in 1 word, basically, those 2 things came together and generated 1 story and 1 word for you. That's it. That's literally it.
Would I be wrong if I suggested that you could also read that as, oh, look, you're going somewhere you've never gone before. Maybe how's your relationship? And if you see them scrunch up, you're like, it sounds like you're about to enter new territory that you've never explored.
If you're gonna do a reading in the course of like a magic show or something like that, yes, you can use those types of techniques. Honestly, when I'm doing this for friends, I just genuinely try to connect that meaning to where it's plugged into the format I'm using, and just genuinely try to read that for real, rather than just try to impress the person. You're gonna make a better connection, I've found, and also, honestly, I have found you tend to be more accurate too. For example, so this means freedom and variety and emotion, so a variety of emotions. So I could do the mentalism technique of, you're not going through a lot of emotional changes, are you? And if you say yes, I'm right, and if you say wrong, I'm right. But I've done this long enough to the point where it's honestly not needed. I would just say 5 is the number of freedom and variety, and heart is the symbol of emotions. So this shows that over the next week, it could be one of two things. You'll have a variety of different emotions you'll be going through, or you'll have a variety of different projects, and some of them your heart will be really into it, and some of them your heart won't be. And it's okay to use those different projects as a distraction. Now, I already know you work on a lot of projects. You told me you made this, so I can of course incorporate that into a reading as well. And again, the great thing is this is just an interpretation. Jason's is an interpretation, mine's an interpretation, so being right or wrong doesn't really matter in a context like this.
I think you brought up a really interesting aspect to doing any kind of reading that I hadn't considered before. There really are 2 totally separate games you can play. One is using it as a tool of introspection. The other is using it as a magic trick where all you really care about is getting a hit, dunking, like, oh, how could he have known that or whatever. The other, you could honestly say to someone, this is what this means. It means new horizons, new adventures. This is about relationships.
Absolutely.
Tell me about your life and what do you expect to see? And then they do all the work there.
That's what I was getting at, is it's kind of like cold reading in that if you want to go that route, you're prompting them and letting them give you all of the information.
We've talked a little bit about this, but it's like having started therapy, this is what therapists do. Is they just, you talk, and then when you run out of words, they sit and wait, and then you start talking again.
Which is a good time to say this. Don't advise on legal, don't advise on medical. If you get into this even a little bit, you're gonna have someone who sits down and goes, so listen, there's some really heavy stuff going on with my partner and everything. And that's the other reason why I like playing cards, because you're out in that situation is just to be like, I'm just learning to do this with playing cards right now, let's keep it fun, let's try something else. And you can kind of dodge it. Whereas if you have the big tarot deck and you're obviously a pro, and if you've got just regular cards, you kind of have that out of being like, look, I'm just an amateur who got these and watched a video on the internet, but let's see if we can make a connection.
I had never before considered divinations as a white hat, black hat hacking affair, but it can be. White hat would be, what do these mean for you? What do you want to focus on? Black hat would be, I'm awesome, and that's definitely your dead grandma saying that.
Yes, exactly.
It's also a way, if you convince people that you have the touch, we're all discerning people who are wise to these things, but most people are morons, and you can show them cards and go, yeah, well, it says here you're supposed to kill a senator, so I...
Yeah, only use your powers for good, whether they're real powers or fake powers.
Ooh, power is power.
So let's finish this up by just showing how I would do a very simple 3 to 4 card reading. I would ask the person to shuffle the cards and maybe tell that story I talked about, 52 cards in the deck, 52 weeks in the year. It's fun, engaging, and by the time I'm done with that, they're usually done shuffling. I would then ask if they want to cut. They can if they want. And then just from the top, you can have them pick them out from wherever they want. Again, it's just a random information generator at this point. You could take off the bottom, you take off the middle. I like just the simple ritual of taking it off the top, and I'll say, this is your past, this is your present, this is your future, and then this is a question you can ask about the cards in a moment.
So this is part of the performance. If you want to lead people into your web, I can see this being a lot more effective than just drawing a card and saying, oh, this is what this means.
Sure, yes, absolutely.
It's similar to the Celtic cross in tarot.
Yes, and you can absolutely do a Celtic cross with playing cards. You can come up with your own format if you want. So this would be past. So I would say, oh, this is about change and transformation. So in your past, you went through a lot of changes. In your present, oh, there's a feminine presence in your life who's been very much a motherly figure. Doesn't necessarily have to be a mom or even identify as female, just someone who has that kind of leadership skills in your life who's been leading you and helping you emotionally. Your future, okay, you're gonna become much more fulfilled and completed emotionally. So this person is gonna help transform you to be completely complete after you've experienced this change in your past.
I would assume ratcheting up each step of the way, you don't just say all that, but instead take a moment and ask what that means to them.
Yes,
and then
yes. Since I'm
weave
giving a
that
reading,
narrative forward.
When I say this is a person, I'd say, who are some people in your life that could be? Not who is this, but
Right.
who are some people? Because it could be multiple people, but also if you are looking for hits, that's a good way to kind of...
Again, don't fire shots in the dark. Let them talk.
Yes. I mean, if I start to say there's a female energy and they start going, oh my God, then I know, like, yeah, that's probably their mom. Yeah, sure. But again, if you want to do that, you can. I don't typically do that when I read. I just try to read the cards as best as I can. And we'll actually do this genuinely with you, Jason.
Okay.
So you can ask a question about the future. Again, I'm not a doctor or a lawyer, so no legal or medical questions. Make it fun. People ask about travel, education, career, ambitions, money. What do you want to ask?
Do I have coronary heart disease? It's the first thing that came to mind.
What does the card say, Diamond?
If you come across that person, you just go, it says go talk to a doctor. Next question. There you go.
Will I finish my next big project by the end of June?
By the end of June, let's see. Okay, so we have 3, which is creativity, expression. This is obviously a creative project.
Yeah.
Spade is, again, power. It's protection, so you are protected creatively.
So if this is power and growth, this project you're working on, is it an extension of something that you've previously worked on that's been proven to work?
Yes, it is.
Maybe you feel the need to grow into a bigger role. Maybe write more in the Killer Candy series.
What?
Which?
Wait, was that the project?
No, but
okay.
it sounded great.
Yeah.
I liked it though.
Yeah.
And that one is always in the back of my mind.
Yeah. Again, you went for the hit approach, I would say. So what are some of the biggest creative projects that are bringing you the most power and fulfillment lately?
There's a laser I've been working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the one you want done by the end of June?
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
Use the laser for good. Don't take down a plane with it.
Hey, wait a minute. The end of June, that deadline is right before Independence Day. Is there something you'd like to disclose to us, Mr. Murphy?
No.
Exactly.
So this is one of those parts where I really want to hear in the comments what other maps people have and where they disagree. Because again, as long as you have these tent poles to hold on to, you'll be able to weave whatever narrative, either projecting onto someone else or asking them to reflect on themselves, right?
Right. You can also do a full future spread where it's 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Oh, brilliant.
So you can do that as well. So now it's all in the future. You can use that for yourself. You can use this again for mind mapping. You can use it to work on a project. You can use it to just entertain friends at your next party.
You can apply any sort of structure here as long as you're consistent.
Yeah, I've seen structures that use an entire deck. If you want to get to that point, great, but this is everything you need to go out and start giving cartomancy readings instantly.
Can we do haruspicy next? The entrails and
Oh,
it's a
dear.
different
If
episode.
you bring entrails,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
let me know and I'll call the police.
I've got a guy.
Hey, Chris, do you have anything you want to promote?
I'm starting a new entrail business.
Dang it, I was going to.
All right, what about you, Joe? Where should people find more of your stuff?
JoeDiamondLive.com.
Guts.
.com.
That took guts. Look, I respect you guys. I know that most of you rogues understand what Squarespace is. You know that it is a platform for your portfolio, your blog, whatever message you have to give to the world. You know that they make it easy with their 99.99% uptime, their award-winning 24/7 service. You know that they have scalability so that you can become an overnight sensation all around the globe. You understand the importance of good-looking design when it comes to your website. But I still get emails like the following. Dear Modern Rouge, I'd like to use Squarespace, but I want to put a circle on my monitor. Is Squarespace circle compliant? What about a rhombus, a parallelogram, a trapezoid, a squiggly line, the symbols that were at the beginning of Ghostbusters? I have many shapes. A torus, a cylinder, a pyramid, a cone. Look, it doesn't matter. The point is, it's not a shape. You can put whatever shape you want on the freaking website. That's the whole point of Squarespace, is to get your message out to the world. So take your crazy conspiracy theory, shape-based nonsense and head on over to squarespace.com/rogue. Give it a free trial, and if you fall in love, which you totally will, make sure to use promo code ROGUE at checkout. Get 10% off. Keep us in business. Get your message heard. I would like a secret members only section in which we can discuss spirals. You can do that. Content blocks. That wasn't a question, he just said content blocks. You say Squarespace is flexible. Explain. How can a square be flexible? It means you can do whatever you want with it. Anyway, these are many shapes. I would also like a Squarespace Video Studio app so I may speak all of this instead of writing it. Yes, they have it. It's all at squarespace.com/rogue. Go. Can I monetize a rectangle? You're literally describing money.
Offer and link in the description below.
They have a witches market at
Yeah.
Buzzmill Coffee, where they just have a table where it's like $5, we'll read your tarot. Probably not hard to get a table.
Oh my God, what I will pay for some GoPro footage of Wizard Murphy.
I'll do it. I will do it. You are being followed by a wolf. His name is Daniel. He doesn't know where you left your keys.
$5, people.
$5.
$5. $5.